your phone charging?
It's live, yeah.
Okay.
What's going on, guys? It's Justin here with Summit Racing, back for another live stream, and we have some fantastic guests with us today. We have Tommy and Allison from Gen2 Garage. How are you guys today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, thanks for having us. We're doing good today.
Yeah, it's so nice to see you guys. You know, we're going to talk all things race car today because you guys have been doing some pretty gangster stuff in the race car world, like the first to go nines in a hurricane-powered anything, which is a really cool accomplishment. You need a coffee cup and a t-shirt.
Yeah. I just got to correct you. It's street cars. We got street cars, not race cars.
Yes, they're my bad. I didn't want to install anybody.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. So tell us, for the folks at home that don't know, tell us about your channel. Where you guys got started, what you do. Give them the 411.
Oh boy. Where did we start? We started with, I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay, so we started out as photographers at a lot of our local no preps, and we traveled around with my brother Billy from Street Racing Channel, and obviously him being my brother, I helped him out for the first few years, filming races and taking pictures and whatnot. And then when we started dating, she kind of got into it, and then we were both out there at the track, taking pictures. And our channel was called SRC Photo, because we were basically just the photographers for SRC.
Yeah, it started as just a picture video channel, no racing at all.
Yeah, so actually our first 10 videos or so are just, we basically had GoPros, and we would actually film ourselves taking pictures at the track. Because I'd watched a lot of, obviously us having a YouTube channel, I also watch a lot of YouTube. My whole life I've watched YouTube. I think that's kind of like what our generation,
We don't watch TV, we watch YouTube.
Yeah, everybody watches YouTube. So I watched a lot of photographers on YouTube, and they did street photography. So they basically wear GoPros. They go around taking pictures in cities and stuff, and filming their experiences, and they show their pictures edited on the screen and whatnot. It's like, we should try that in drag racing. So it did okay. Not a lot of people like to watch. It's more of it's a niche, I guess is what you call it. But so we got out of that when Billy decided to buy Allison her dart that she still has today. And that was a random deal. We didn't, it was really unexpected. I'm not even sure why he did it. I mean, he's just a nice person. He's always taking care of, his people. But, I think he was very appreciative of Allison and I, especially Allison, helping traveling and kind of just putting everything. Allison was in college, and she was still
had a regular job at that point too. I was
still a regular job. What you want to tell me what your job was?
Yeah, I was a dog groomer before.
Yeah.
Oh, heck, that's a difficult. That takes some skill. There's a lot of poodles out there with bad haircuts versus good haircuts.
It takes a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
It's not the dogs.
I wouldn't say I had, so I was really excited to get out of that, but yeah, it was.
So he was very appreciative of us, putting everything kind of aside. And there were some weekends where we'd get home on a Sunday at 5 a.m, driving home from a race, and Allison's got to go into work at 6. So we had a lot of sacrifice. I think he appreciated that. So of course he was also kind of itching to get a Mopar, because my family's very diehard Chevy, obviously, and we have our Ford from time to time, pesky Fords, but
Fox bodies.
Yeah, dang Fox bodies. But I think he wanted to see a Mopar in the camp, and her family, diehard Mopar. I'm sure we'll get into that, and I'll let her talk about that. But he wanted to see, I don't know if he really, I don't know if you ever really had a talk with him about wanting to race or anything.
Yeah, we were riding up to KD one day, and I don't even know how we got started on the conversation, but I was just telling him the cars I liked. I think we got talking about dream cars or something.
Yeah.
And I mentioned a dart, and then a week later, all of a sudden I have a dart.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Weird.
kind of cool. Like
That's crazy.
darts are cool cars. Everybody, I don't know. I'm not partial to any brand. I think I own a lot of bow ties over anything else. But
Mhm.
Mopars are sweet. They look the best. The problem is there's just not as many as the others,
And
unfortunately.
it costs 5 times as much to go half as fast.
5 times as much. It's painful. Gosh.
But yeah, so she acquires this dart, and then shortly, not long after, he ended up getting a really good deal on a Gen 3 Hemi, and so that kind of sparked something in us, like, okay, well, we already have this YouTube channel, and um, obviously it wasn't doing very good with the photography stuff. Like, it was a niche, so we started filming the dart build a little bit, and kind of it started out as something that it had a QA1 3-link rear suspension, so something for, like, not drag racing,
Right.
kind of a street car-y for turns,
Mm.
and it's really I mean, it still needs a good paint job, but it was like it had that copper color at
Copper,
first.
covered in dents, covered in
Yeah.
holes. Like,
Had a little bit of rust, mostly cosmetic, but Jeff
under
kind
the
of
car is like 100% rust
Yeah.
free, but
yeah,
like the
super
doors.
nice car. But yeah, it had a little cosmetic rust and stuff, but Jeff showed us and kind of taught us along the way how to fix that up, and that's kind of what really grew our channel, I think, is fixing up this old Mopar with her dad kind of teaching us, and being in the shop and being patient with us. And I think a lot of our followers, so a lot of our subscribers are, like, the average age is, I believe it or not, 45 to like 65, covers, I think, over 60% of our viewers. So a lot of those people are fathers, or there's even some moms in there that watch, I'm sure. And I think they like to watch other fathers teach the younger generation. So that's also kind of where we swapped our name to Gen2 Garage. And the other backstory there is, our dads actually used to race at our local track, National Trail Raceway, and they used to bracket race. My dad mostly did Super Pro and Pro in his Nova, and I don't know, back then your dad must have probably been doing that too, but now he races. Yeah, her dad now does. He's got a stock eliminator. It's a 70 Challenger,
Mhm.
70 Challenger, and super nice car. So, but they've always, her dad was, what was his title at Trails? Like,
He's the manager.
the manager at National Trails for, I think, over like 15 years, right? Might have been, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so our dads basically are at the track together, and they've known each other, and maybe not, but there's all kinds of funny stories. Like,
Yeah.
apparently there's a story that my dad got thrown out by her dad because he didn't have a blow-proof bell housing. Like, but Jeff does absolutely not remember that at all. But my dad brings it up every time, and, like, every time my dad tells the story, it gets more dramatic. So we're like, I think he's fibbing. Like, I don't know if it's like a bad dream that he had that, like, maybe he thought was real. I don't know, but so
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know if that was true or not.
Eventually,
like,
by the end of the story, it will be Jeff crawled under the car and physically peeled my SFI sticker off of his own pants.
Yeah,
We're
so
getting there.
like, my dad is like totally against the rule book, doesn't care, barely passes tech. Everybody thinks he's cheating. And then her dad is like by the book, he's the tech inspector. Like, so complete different polar opposites. And so it's kind of funny how, we ended up
Yeah.
working, because, like, we're also almost polar opposites, but it all works. But let's see where we go from there. So,
Well, Gen 2 is just kind of a tribute to her dad's.
yeah, we're basically the second generation in our family of racers, so that's why we put that name, I guess. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that it has a bunch of meaning and a cool backstory, and it's really neat you guys involve your dads, because I think we can call, that's some of my fondest times in the garage is, learning, hanging out, and doing that with your old man. It's
yeah,
the things. It's wild to think, like, some of the stuff they forget more than we'll ever know. So it's a good time. So speaking of, you coming from a Mopar family, Allison, and you coming from a bow tie family, Tommy, have either of you ever thought about making a switch? getting more brand specific. Like Tommy, you would look great in an A-body.
Dude, I'm telling you, I want a Barracuda so bad, but I don't know how these people afford it. I have no idea. Like, number one, finding one that's not completely rusted out, but having to travel to like Florida or Texas or somewhere that doesn't have rust, and at that point oh man, it's just the Mopar people. I don't know how they afford it. They usually just eat like uh off-brand food, and I'm always joking with her family, like they always have like the off, like they cheap out on everything except their race cars. That's how they afford it. That's the only way.
I am. There's been multiple times in my life where I've ate ramen noodles and banquet, TV dinners because I spent a little too much here at Summit Racing. But
we do it every month. Yeah,
every single month.
As these kids are saying now, we listen, but we don't judge.
Right. Yeah, we got to have our priorities in check. Like,
yeah, you can race a car, but you can't race a house, but you can sleep in a car. I think that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get into talk. You guys did a ton of, backside racing, no prep, that kind of stuff, but have kind of started to dabble in the drag and drive world, which, Dragon, it's, no prep and backside racing and drag and drive, I think have blown up at the same rate over the last, that is the two hottest things in drag racing right now. So tell us about the transition and that kind of deal, and what inspired you guys to go, drag and drive.
Well, I love drag and drive so much because there's something for everybody there. There's no better environment to me either. Like, everybody's just there to help each other out, and it's the coolest thing. I remember we did Sick Week last year for the first time in his dad's El Camino, or his mom's El Camino, and that was just like a 6-cylinder car, nothing crazy.
We
just did Sick Ward, actually.
Yeah, Sick Ward.
And I had so much fun, and we both knew we were going to have a car there next year.
Mm-hmm.
And, sure enough, we did end up bringing our trucks. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so much fun.
So, I mean, we just came from World Series of Pro Mod down in Florida, and you got 80 Pro Mods or however many they had, and some absolutely awesome racing, and then we got to participate in Little Gangsters, the new 530 class from Jimmy Dale. All credit goes to him. He's really bringing it together for the I guess I don't know if you call it like the blue collar racer or racer. It kind of is giving some of these people a place to race again, because a lot of these classes are just getting way out of hand. And you got to look at, as content creators, you got to almost go where the excitement is right now. You almost got to follow the trend almost. But I mean, I wouldn't even say that's what we're doing. We went and tried out something that looked really fun, and it ended up making really good content, right? So it's all, I think a lot of the no prep stuff got real saturated, especially, you guys are in Ohio too. There's 5 races every weekend. Ohio has the most tracks for the size of state, capita, I don't know what you call it, has the most tracks out of any other state in the country, I'm pretty sure. So there's so many places to race, and it can get really oversaturated with the no prep stuff, as much as we love it. But it can really dry up the content, I feel like, and so it was cool to get to go to something way different. And throwing radials on has been a blast for me. They're just faster, and they're so much easier than a slick. Like, it's like hitting the easy button. You just go out there, and all of a sudden you got a personal best. Like, my car it separates real hard. It's a triangulated 4-link like a Mustang, so just inherently it likes a radial. And immediately as soon as I put it on, it was just easy button. So it was very enjoyable at first, especially the chip away at time slips. Now, the racing, it isn't any easier than no prep. It's a very competitive field, and you got all these rules now. We're trying to figure out what I want to do with the car as far as, how to make it fit a certain class. What class do I want to run? Right now, I'm interested in the 235 class, maybe putting some class legal precisions on it and trying that out. But, up here, we don't really have a lot of radial races. So, like they do down south. So it's kind of hard. I don't want to make the car a certain way and then I have to drive it all the way down south to race it. So it's kind of a hard spot we're in. And I think, she's kind of watched the radial races, and like they're a lot nice. Like, I'll just say this: there's not a bunch of Fox bodies with no front ends. Like
I'm
it's
not
like 40
saying that.
Fox bodies at your local no prep, but you go out to a radial race, and it's like now you've got a little bit more. I don't know, just it's a little nicer. That's all I'm gonna say. But
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. Maybe a little. Um,
it's refreshing.
it's
Yeah,
refreshing to just see different cars and
It's a
different
nice,
builds.
it's a change of scenery, if you will.
Yeah.
No, we still love no prep racing, and we're going to be doing it all year.
Yeah.
But we're really excited to get more into kind of the radial and the drag and drive stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to branch out a little bit more.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to have different, avenues to explore, different hobbies. And that's kind of cool. You're just exploring different sects within drag racing. So going from slicks to radials, Tommy, do you notice a huge setup difference in the car? Are you doing a bunch of stuff different?
So we, trying to stay competitive in small tire, now is you've got all these real deal you got cars that are like radial versus the world cars that just came out, like Frankenstein, for example, which they are absolutely insanely fast, and I give them major props. Logan Duvall, like Zach Jones is local to us. Like those people just absolutely have it figured out, and their cars are fast. And a lot of those cars are real deal race cars, whereas my car is more of an OG small tire car, and it's kind of fallen out of place. And really, it probably belongs in True Street. So, we're trying to make that transition, but for True Street classes, you got to be on a radial. So that's kind of mostly why I've been trying it out. And as far as the setup goes, like I had tried so many bar angles right before I started trying out radials. Like with the slicks, I tried so many different bar angles, trying to figure out how to like make the car squat. But a Mustang 4-link doesn't really want to squat with a short upper bar, and I kept with the floppy Hoosiers and the floppy slicks. I was shaking the tire a lot, and and then like I said, I went to the radio, and it's just like easy button, stiff sidewall. The car just goes dead straight. Like let go of the steering wheel, and it's going. So, as far as setup, like just cranking the front shocks down. I didn't actually change any shocks or any. I think I put my bar angles back to where it's at like 110% anti squat. It still separates like really hard, and I'm trying to figure that out. I might need to try a stronger shock package on the rear that has a little tighter rebound to slow it down. But no, I mean the car can go from slicks to radials, no prep, front side to absolutely the worst backside without any major changes, just some shock adjustments and a tire change. That's it. So the car's really versatile.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, and that's it's been neat. It's cool. It still has a dash and interior in it. I also thought it was neat that you got to meet the original owner. Well, not so much the original, but the guy who painted it black. Showed up at those pictures and that kind of. That's always cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That happened at Or in the Woods last season. That was really cool. We've seen him on Instagram for a while, and then finally getting to meet him, I let him sit in the car, and yeah, it was really special. And we haven't changed much really since. Well, the last guy we bought off of obviously made it into the race car that it is now, but before that it was a lowrider, and that's when it was painted black. So it's been through so many life cycles. It's kind of interesting. The car's been through so many different transitions, but yeah, it was cool.
If it could talk, it has seen some things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's seen some things.
So
yeah.
Let's get into talking about the Dakota, because the thing is it's really impressive. And also congratulations on being the first hurricane-powered anything on Going Nines. That's a really cool accomplishment.
Again, world record holder right here.
Oh gosh.
I don't hold any world records. She does.
So how did the Dakota project come to fruition? What made you decide to build a Dakota? Obviously them being a Mopar person.
Okay, so a couple months ago, I got invited to participate in the Roadkill Nights influencer race, and we were all excited. We're like, oh yeah, they do Hemis every year. We're gonna get a Hemi, like that's what we've been wanting to do on our channel for a long time. Like
it's what we know.
Yeah, I was so excited, and then they're like, well, we're actually going to do the Hurricanes this year. And I'm like, what's a hurricane?
What's a dang
I
hurricane?
had to Google it. I'm like, inline 6? What?
Yeah, we're like,
Oh, I was looking forward to a Hemi.
we immediately start making ricer noises.
Yeah, we're like, oh, great.
It's it's a Mopar 2JZ, guys.
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
pretty much. And so right after we found out that we were going to get this Hurricane, Tommy and I went out and bought this little gold Dakota, and
First gen Dakota.
first gen Dakota, because I love those. Those are my favorites. But we pick up the engine. We just set the engine next to the truck. We're like, that's not gonna fit.
We started taking measurements and we realized that
That's not even gonna kind of fit.
yeah, it's too long the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like if we put it in sideways, it'd be perfect. But that's not.
It might,
No,
but
not gonna work.
yeah, I really underestimated how big this engine was.
We were gonna
So-
have to rear mount the radiator and like do a tubular core support because I'm telling you the freaking front of this engine was 2 inches from where I think it was literally in the radiator, like where it was gonna be. It was gonna be
Do
crazy.
you remember how long we had to build the truck? It was like
We had like 2.5, 3 months.
2.5 to 3 months. So we didn't have a lot of time either.
But we didn't get the engine.
We didn't get the engine until like 2 months in or something.
Yeah, I mean, we probably had, the first month was just, we got to find a car that's worth a while, and then just acquiring parts, making a parts list is the biggest thing. And we do appreciate, Summit did hop on board, and man, it showed up like
fast.
Like 3 days, 2 days. It was like instant. Like Jeff and Allison sat down, made a parts list, and then it was like boom, everything's there. It looked like Christmas, but it was in August, or no, it was in July. It was just like, whoa, look at this. We have so many boxes to open.
Yeah.
It was like we couldn't even fit them all in the frame of the camera, but it was awesome. I was like, that was a huge. Summit was the first one to get any parts to us, so. Huge thank you to you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the business and we love working with you guys. And it was cool to be part of such a neat project because, like I said, you did some really gangster stuff with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that went into this thing besides just putting an engine and transmission in this truck.
We haven't gotten to the red Dakota yet.
Right, yeah.
So then, so we quickly realized Gold Dakota wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Just not in the time frame we had, at least. And so my dad just bought this, I think it was 72 Duster a couple months earlier. Like, all right, well, just throw it in there. Like, we already have this.
Yeah, we have this roller. It's nice. Like,
it has a cage, like
old bracket car. It's already got a 6-point in it. We're like, oh, it's already halfway done.
Yeah.
And
we dropped the engine in the Duster, and then realized again, this isn't gonna work either.
We're gonna have to cut the firewall out and.
It's just nice dust. I mean.
Yeah, I mean it was a nice car, and we didn't really want to molest it like that. Like we're gonna have to cut out the trans tunnel for sure, and like it was gonna be a full blown freaking. It was gonna be an ordeal. Like we were like we're not gonna be able to finish it. Like,
like in the time frame we had, it wasn't gonna happen. Yeah. So my dad starts kind of looking into what else we could put this
on the old marketplace.
Hops on the old marketplace. And he finds this second gen Dakota, and honestly, I didn't like these trucks beforehand. I was like, I don't want to build this thing.
Yeah,
how could you say such a thing?
I know. I don't know what I was thinking. I was so wrong. Because I love these trucks now. Like my entire marketplace is just second gen Dakotas now. I'm gonna have so many someday.
I just don't think very many people. First of all. Mopar problems. The parts for these trucks are non-existent. There's not a lot of aftermarket. So there's like, just doing a simple 5-lug conversion of these trucks is a chore. Luckily, this one was already done. But making these trucks just look like normal trucks. It's like, you see a lot of them rusted out and they're work trucks, right? But nobody really has. There's not very many of them out there that are like race trucks or street trucks, I feel like. So you don't really have the picture in mind when you lower one a little bit and put it on some like RC comps or Kaisers and like it's on bead locks and you're like, oh, hello. And it's like, oh, this thing looks good. Yeah. So like we didn't, at first we're like, oh my God, this truck's so ugly. It's an old bracket truck. It's going to be a whole ordeal. And so we were so against it at first, but we had no choice. Like,
yeah, I mean, just it had a bigger engine bay.
Yeah. Like we had taken measurements. Our buddy Tanner actually has one of these trucks, and we went over to his house the night before they went to go buy this truck. It was like spur of the moment. We need to go check this out, and we were taking measurements, and we're like, oh my god, we have like a foot to spare.
Yeah.
So the special things about those trucks is the windshield actually overhangs, like it's almost like a catfish Camaro, almost like the firewall is under the windshield a little bit. It actually overhangs. The cowl actually overhangs, and so there's so much extra space. It's almost like the firewall set back from the factory. So
Mm.
worked out really well. We're like, okay, this has to happen. Go get
Yeah.
the truck tomorrow.
Already has a cage. Already has a 9-inch. Like
Already had cow tracks. But it was it had been sitting for like 6 years, and your old bracket car you find on Marketplace, right? Cage is a little shoddy. A lot of the fabrication is like she'll hold, right? But
Yeah.
it was a decent base. I say that, but
It was clean.
the only thing
rust free.
that was the whole thing. We're like, dude, this thing's already got everything we need. And the only thing that we ended up keeping, like we thought the 9-inch was nice and everything, like what's left of it? Basically the body and the bed.
The body in the bed.
The cage.
The main hoop, we redid the back bars.
We redid the back bars. Yeah, the back bars, somebody had taken the bed off at one point, so they had to cut the bars, and they just cut them in the middle, and then they put the bed back on for whatever reason, and then they used like sleeves that bolted onto the cage, and I'm like, that'll pass tech. So
it was rough.
yeah, so we had to get it tuned up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a grinder and paint for the welder I ain't.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this project.
Said that a lot. That project.
Yeah, I mean, we had to do quite a bit of fabrication. Like we thought this was going to be easy peasy. It already had so much, but the 9-inch.
Nobody makes parts for the Hurricane either, so
Right.
we had to make motor mounts from scratch. First time we've done anything like that before, so
Yeah.
So much fabrication, and Tommy and I are still like relatively new to building.
At that point.
At that point, we were. So we had no choice but to like just jump in and figure it out.
Right. There was almost no time for, okay, here we go. Let's let me teach you guys this or teach that. It's like got to get to going, you know what I mean? But at that point we've been watching Jeff, and we had some experience, wrenching, and we're just like, we need to get past that block of, oh, I'm scared to touch anything. I'm scared to do this. I don't want to mess it up. It was, it's time to get to work. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there's no time to get help.
yeah. So, we still had a lot of guidance from Jeff. He always has this way of picturing things that, he's very creative.
On the fabrication side.
Yeah. Like we had to make seat brackets, for example, and that took like a whole 2 or 3 nights just to make dang seat brackets for the Kirky seats. Or no, they're not Kirkies. They're Summit seats. You think they're Kirkies. They're that nice, but they're Summit seats. As it turns out, I made that mistake. But yeah, so we had to make seat brackets for the Summit seats, and that seems like a simple process, but it's just everything was from scratch. The motor mounts, just every little thing. You made a drive shaft loop, redid the back bars, had to do a shock bar, shock tabs. You got to mount every little thing from your transmission cooler. You got to find where all this stuff goes. The thing's got an intercooler on it, so you got to put we put a water tank in the bed.
Also from Summit.
Also from Summit. The water pump also from Summit. You got to find where to put the switch panel. The engine came with all these electronics. It came with a Motec, and it's something that we've never dealt with. We've always just had Holly. The Motec's super nice though, like way too nice for us. But you got to find out where this is all going to go, where the harnesses are going to reach. They recommended it goes in the engine bay, so now we got to find somewhere that goes. And then luckily Jeff handled all the wiring. He's like the wiring guy, so that was all out of our hands, thank God, because I don't think we would have ever been able to figure it out on our own. But it was a whole process, man. It's hard starting something from scratch, and especially when you're on a time crunch, you're trying to figure out where's everything going to go.
And there's no YouTube video you can pull up of somebody putting a Hurricane in a Dakota. We were the first ones to do it. So
it's not like how to LS swap an OBS Chevy truck.
Right.
There's a million videos, but like, how do you hurricane swap a Dakota? Well, you figure it
Nobody
out.
knows.
Yeah, so it was fun in that aspect, but it was super stressful. With the time crunch, and Dodge was nice enough to invite us first of all, and then send us. You get this brand new engine and transmission, and they gave us 15 grand to complete the truck, and it took every penny, and hell, if it wasn't for sponsorships like Summit, we wouldn't have got the truck done even with that. So it would have been impossible. So again, thank you guys. But yeah, I mean, the time crunch made everything so difficult, but it was a challenge and it was fun. A lot of late nights. Like, we probably stayed up
Nice.
till 4 every night, and Jeff still works a normal job. Like, he would usually get up at 8 or 9 o'clock for work in the morning. We're out there at 4 a.m. on a weekday, out there working. So a lot of sacrifices, but it was obviously worth it. I think. I hope that answered the original question. We kind of branched out a lot, but
Oh, it happened. Yeah. What were we talking about again? No, it was fantastic. So, Allison, tell us about what it's compared to driving like the Dart. What's different about the Dakota? Is there things you like better? You like worse? Like, obviously, it's a different build. It kind of built in a different aspect of not only you have to go fast in it, but you have to drive it thousands of miles as well.
Well, it's about as opposite as my Dart as you can get in every way. I mean, my Dart just has a 904, no overdrive or anything. So, that was something I was really looking forward to this Dakota. I'm like, we're going to do sick week and I have an 8-speed. This is going to be awesome. And yeah, I think cruising at 70, I was at like 1500 RPM, maybe I was 1700 the whole time. It was insane. What would I say I was getting fuel mileage wise? Like
I think
20,
24, 22, somewhere in there.
I think I was getting 24 miles to the gallon at sick week in that truck.
Can't beat that.
Meanwhile, we took my Dart, and my Dart was maybe getting 8.
The Dart has a 10-gallon
Maybe
fuel cell.
10-gallon fuel
And
cell
it's
on
on
the 85.
85.
340. It's just,
Yep.
Miles
Miles
per
per
Where's all this
gallon.
fuel going? It's only 340 cubic inches. It acts like a damn 454 big block Chevrolet in there.
Yeah. So, the Dakota is it's really nice to cruise, except for the part where we didn't put a muffler on it. And yeah, the exhaust exited right under my driver's seat, so that was a horrible drive.
No bueno.
It was horrible, and my ears were ringing for a week after sick week.
So you got to put the turbos in the bed, get
Yeah,
all
put the
behind you.
turbos in the
Yeah.
Dude,
that
that
might be our
that
next
was a
project.
cool. Speaking of turbos in the bed, I do enjoy that setup on the truck. I think that is super gangster. But we're talking about Dakotas right now. Tom.
Yes. Sorry, I don't want to.
We'll definitely talk about that later because it's so cool. He let me drive it yesterday, so I'm all excited about it. What was I talking about?
Well, you should say like we weren't sure about the whole inline 6 thing. We're like, what is this thing gonna sound like?
Oh yeah.
Obviously all we do is V8s, and then now we're like kind of we teased Allison the whole time because I'm like, you're gonna be a racer.
Be a racer. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I actually like how it sounds now. It was when I was talking about the sound, it was just because it was exiting under the driver's seat. That's the only reason it sounded horrible all sick week. But I can't wait to get a muffler on it. It sounds so cool when you let off the gas, like hearing all the turbo noises.
There's a video.
It sounds insane going down the track with the inline 6 and the 8 speed.
They're very, very distinct.
Awesome.
They don't sound. I don't think they sound like another slant 6 or not slant 6, but another straight 6.
Yeah.
You kind of always pick out like what a 2J sounds like, what a Barra, Ford 300, that kind of deal. But yeah, that Hurricane, it's very. Dodge picked a note that I think we're all going to enjoy.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. I've grown to really love this engine, and I can't wait to keep doing more with it. Like, we're doing upgrades on it right now. Just excited. It's been a lot of fun.
It's a tough pill to swallow though for all the Mopar
V8
people, because
and
it's like they took away the Hemi from all these diehard Mopar fans, and it's like now you're going to give us this inline 6, which is like kind of how she was feeling, I'm sure. It's like, well, I thought we were going to get Hemis, Hemi brothers, but
I can't lie. I'm super impressed with
Yeah,
the Hurricane,
I mean,
though. I mean,
dude, how do you? It's
so
faster.
Much. It's so much fun. It's way lighter.
It's faster, lighter, all aluminum engine. The thing weighs like engine and transmission was like what? Uh,
Oh gosh.
I mean, it was crazy. Like I can't remember.
Insanely.
I think the engine alone was. It's very light. I don't remember the exact
don't
numbers,
either.
but all aluminum engine, so you get great weight bias, which is great for a lot of stuff we do. And I mean, it gets 24 miles a gallon, and it runs low tens.
Low tens.
You can't beat that. What else out there is doing that? And a stock engine, stock transmission, just with a tune, basically.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't really know what else out there is doing that.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see the aftermarket catch up with them, and start to see more and more, and see where it goes. By the time we start to get cams and all that kind of stuff for them, I think it's really we're really gonna see some amazing things. So let's talk about running that, squeezing that 9 out, because that's super cool. You always get to be the first, and you'll get to wear that forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you go watch our GoPro video, I thought for sure I was gonna be just short of a 9. Like, you can see me at the end of the run, like, go back and I almost hit the button again, because, well, this was the first time we ever sprayed. It was the last day of sick week, where, like, if something happens, like, it doesn't matter. I already have a slip to turn in. I could say I completed sick week, blah blah blah. Because we didn't know what it was gonna do. Nobody sprayed one of these before.
There's a lot of superstition, because at roadkill, a few of these things scattered the transmission. We weren't really sure why, but like, there was a lot of different things going on, and we're like, you just don't know. Like, especially with us having a locked ECU, we can't get in there and tune it for nitrous. Like, it can only compensate on its own so much. So we weren't really sure what was going to happen.
We were told no more than 150. That's kind of what we were hoping. I mean, we were hoping it would be fine. Like, we were told it would be okay, but again, nobody's done it, so.
And we weren't even.
You don't know. No, we were just like a 50 shot basically. By the time it made it.
I was gonna ask. So they told you no more than 150. So you flowed. You put you sprayed it 150.
Nope.
Well, so I'm sure we will one day.
We will, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Tell them about the all motor kit.
Yeah. So
Tony.
Yeah, our friend Tony and Tess brought this little all motor kit. It's nitrous kit that hooks into a cigarette lighter.
I love this.
Stuff the bottle behind the passenger seat. We're like, we're gonna go run a 9, and sure enough, I think what was it? It was technically 100 shot.
So I'm gonna call timeout on the play here. You gotta imagine her dad is like,
okay.
This was a big step for him, because
we talked earlier. He's by the book,
right?
Rule follower.
Yeah. Not a guy that's going to have a loose nitrous bottle behind the seat. It's not really a thing that you'd find Jeff doing. Or electrical taping a button to the shifter and hot wiring a nitrous kit to the cigarette lighter. Like, not really his game plan. But old Tony talked him into it, thank gosh.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just kind of stuffed the nitrous line, like, right before the turbo. And I think it was technically 100 shot, but by the time it actually got there, it was probably 50.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of struggling to hold the truck at the moment with the brakes and the converter. So I wasn't spraying like right off the line or anything. Like, I don't have a trans brake. Right after I let off, I hit the button and I just let off at 4th. And it picked up, what, 3/10?
3/10.
2/10.
No, I mean, it was running 1030s all sick week. So yeah, it was about 3/10.
Yeah, but that was on 93. When I got race fuel in it, it was 1020s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just barely touched the nitrous, if you think about it. And you could see in the video, like, I wanted to hit it. I wanted to hit the button again because I didn't think it was going to go into a 9, but like, I just want to play it safe. Make sure everything's okay.
I mean, I don't even know if we were like going for a 9. It was just like, look, it was just Tony. Tony inherently wants to just make everyone faster around him and himself. But it's like even if we are at the track and we're like, oh man, it just went, we completed sick week. We're like, yay. He's like, we gotta go faster. Like, we always gotta go faster. What are you talking about? So
Yeah, he was trying to get me to do that earlier, but my cage didn't cert and I don't have my license, so I couldn't technically turn in a 9-second slip.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, Tony, just let me make my 10-second pass and then we can do this.
Right.
And I was one of the last people to run on the last day. Like there, because that's the day everybody's pushing their stuff.
The last day is madness
Oh
of
my
Sick
gosh.
Week. You got LaSalle out there trying to turn the world upside down. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is the Snot Rocket 3.0. That to see, it's a generally it's the same length as a regular Fox body, or not Fox body. My bad, guys. I don't want to offend anybody. A new an S550. It looks like a regular S550. It's not some stretched out Pro Mod or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Pro Mod fast almost.
Yeah.
It's always super exciting to watch him do his thing at Sick Week, and you almost like, okay, our street cars that should be so simple. We had a few stops ourselves. Like the Dart was a handful all Sick Week, and it's like here we are struggling. It's like I can't even imagine you're out there going, I guess low sixes, right, and just absolutely tearing up the track and driving 1,000 miles on Sick Week, and it looks like a blast. I don't know if we'll get that far one day, but I think it'd be fun.
Year one, we were just trying to survive.
Right.
We're not trying to set.
Not trying to set records.
We're not trying to set any records, but
yeah.
That was the intention going into this Sick Week. Like, yeah, there's so much I'm gonna change next year because we're absolutely gonna do this again.
Yeah.
We were not prepared enough.
We got to keep going faster.
We got to keep going faster. I started Sick Week. I'm like, I just want to make it through. Like, I'm just gonna run on pump gas the whole time. It'll be fine. And then my truck slowed up a 10th, and I had to go find race fuel because it got boring after day 2.
Yeah.
Well, so that's you had a kind of a hard time finding E85, Tommy. That was kind of nuts. I seen you guys were searching, and the Gas Buddy app isn't always the most reliable.
Oh, yeah. So I ended up putting a 25-gallon cell in my truck for that reason. I knew it was gonna be a problem. So I could have made it. Like there was one spot in between Bradenton and Orlando, I believe, that stretch back across Florida where there's no fuel, no E85 for about an hour and a half. And the Dart only goes about 45 minutes before you got to stop. And so.
And the one E85 station in between those tracks, like that was close to Bradenton, they were out of E85.
Yeah.
So.
We got in a tough spot. Jeff ended up he had about a quarter or half a tank of 85, and he ended up putting, I think, 93 in it and mixed it. And we kind of asked my dad, the carburetor guru, like, what is that gonna do? Is that gonna be all right? He's like, yeah, it's just gonna be super rich. It'll be okay once you get going. Down the freeway, it won't care. It'll be really hard, get going. But
so leaned out the carburetor a little bit. Everything was fine.
It worked.
It worked. It got better mileage, that's for sure.
Yeah, we lucked out. There was a guy, after I made the Facebook post looking, somebody came from about 10, 15 minutes away, and he brought 2.5 cans of 85, and that kind of took the pressure off because we weren't sure what was going to happen. I was down to a half a tank. I probably could have made it, but it was uncomfortable. And then we know for sure the Dart was going to have to be run on all 93 by the time we got there. So, of course, her truck's on gas. And then we had Tony and Tess, Miss Midnight Maverick. She had her Maverick, and they're on gas too. And we were like sitting at dinner, kind of plotting this out, figuring out, worst to the worst. Basically, the Maverick and the Dakota would have to go get fuel, drive all the way back with the 85 cans, and get the Dart the rest of the way. But luckily we didn't have to do that because the guy came and gave us fuel. I forget his name, but huge thank you to him. And then the other thing we were stressing about is the first day of Sick Week, the Dart just chewed up the alternator. The very first burnout. It locked up the alternator. Super random. It was an alternator that came off of Jeff's Challenger a couple years ago, and it was on the shelf, and I didn't look like a rinky-dink alternator by any means, but it just locked up first burnout. And it's a mini alternator, so it's not something you're going to find at AutoZone. But luckily, Billy had brought the Nova down in the stacker, because he was thinking about testing the day before sick week, but didn't get to. So the car was just sitting in the trailer, and it had a mini alternator on it. So they went and stole the alternator, put it on the dart, and they're like, "Wait, this is a 16-volt alternator."
Yeah.
And so they go and get the 16-volt battery out of the Nova. So now the dart's on 16-volt, and it's cranking up all nice. Fans are
started
freaking-
beautifully.
Yeah,
I love
16 volt.
16 volt.
It's so nice, but not really street car-y. Like, those batteries don't like to be streeted very much with fans and all the accessories running for a long time. And partway through, it was after Bradenton, we got to the first checkpoint, and our buddy Corey Butcher did a little trailer burnout pulling out of the first checkpoint, and had a little ticking as that last little, little piston slap. I don't know what was going on, but we pulled over to help him, and Jeff left the fans running on the dart and kind of forgot and ran the battery down.
Yeah, we usually leave the fans running on 12, but
right, like it's no
keep
big
it
deal,
cool.
but yeah, he kind of forgot about it for a
Habit.
few, I think it was on for like 5 minutes, and he goes back, he's like, "Oh, the fans are on," and then it started, then it was fine, but the rest of the trip, there's one point they had to put a jump pack on it. It wouldn't start at
Multiple points.
the gas station, and they had a 12-volt jump pack, and surprisingly it got started. So if you apparently that works, I don't know, but
I've been told that a Milwaukee M18 battery can be used to jump things in certain situations.
really,
I don't know if it's recommended or not, but I know it.
well, we're team yellow. We usually use D-Wall. Red's the color of communism, so we use yellow.
Whoa. Well, see, this friendship, that hurts my insides.
Just Milwaukee. I'm sorry, just Milwaukee. We like red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue is good.
We'll get you converted to Red Tools one day, Tommy. Don't you worry.
You're gonna have to convert everybody. It's their fault. It's like Mopar, DeWalt, the whole deal. I'm ruined. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's what I was a GM DeWalt guy for the long time, and my buddy Kenny is a Mopar Milwaukee guy, and it's slowly the Mopar didn't rub off, but the Red Tools did.
No, the Chevy people, we usually have Bauer. Bauer from Harbor Freight. Real nice.
No, we need to get you into some of those. We have our own Summit branded private label. We have a grinder, drills, a tungsten grinder, all sorts of things. We need to get you into some of them private label.
I like me some grinders.
Yeah,
tell you what,
everybody loves a good grinder.
Yeah, dude, the Dakota, all the parts on that thing, we don't have no CNC machine. We just got ichrometers and death wheels. So, every single part we made for that thing was, make a template, cut it out with the death wheel. I ruined so many pairs of shorts from sparks. I lit myself on fire probably a few times. It was so bad, but.
Well, that's like the running joke is you just tell people, like, I'm great at CAD. It's cardboard assisted design.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We love our cardboard templates, man. The whole truck was built off of cardboard templates. So.
Yeah, we had quite the system going. Like my dad would usually be making templates. Tommy would, death wheel, grind everything. I'd weld whatever it was. It was quite the.
This was her
system.
First project that she really welded actually on the vehicle. Like I'd bought a welder a couple years ago, a little MIG welder from Harbor Freight, and we started practicing just to get into it, and we really enjoy it. Like it's really satisfying once you get it, finally figure it out, and she picked it up crazy fast. Like
you picked it up crazy fast.
Well, it took me a lot of practice. You were just like, boom, good to go. And but so we've been practicing, luckily, and then when it came time to do this project, Jeff can't do everything, so we got to pull our weight. And she welded up quite a few things and did a really good job. I mean, the truck still held together. So
yeah,
that's cool. And learning all that, fabrication is a great skill to have. I always kind of say, I'm not so much a fabricator, I'm a fabricobbler. It's that's like one of those things I wish like my dad, for example, can like envision something. I assume we were kind of talking about Jeff earlier, and can know what it's going to look like before it's done. Yeah. I'm just over here like I've started this project 7 different times because I've changed my mind halfway through.
Yeah. I feel
like once we got our truck to Roadkill, of course, we didn't really know what everybody else's were going to look like, and until like the last few days we didn't know, except for Morgan. We knew because we were in contact with them. They had a D150, but we didn't know what everyone else had. We had no clue. So when we got there and we saw everybody else's, I think ours and Morgan's really stood out.
Well, we were the only two that build our trucks at home,
Yeah.
which I think was special.
Yeah, we were the only two teams that actually built our trucks in our shop. Everything else was
shop built, which
shop built.
there's nothing wrong with that.
But some of these cars were like Weston's car was thrown together in like 1 week, literally 1 week. They pulled this. Was it a Roadrunner? The Roadrunner, I think.
Yeah,
I believe. But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know my Mopars that well. Yeah, they all look
think
a
it was
lot
a
similar,
Roadrunner.
like in the '60s. But this thing, they had these motor mounts. Was like, I don't even know how to do. Like, I was like, dude, there's no way. It was like a scrap piece. It was like a triangle that you find in your scrap pile, just welded to the side of the motor and then ended like the frame. Like, no. I was like, wow. Like, I don't know. It was some of these. Ours. I feel like our projects shine. That's all I'm gonna say. I felt like we definitely won the beauty contest, at least, if anything.
Morgan too.
Yeah, Morgan.
Yeah,
too.
they filled their truck.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
proud.
it was cool. There was a ton of cool stuff there, and it was cool to see everybody's different flavor for the Roadkill Nights deal. And like I said, the Dakota, I liked the Dakota a lot. That thing was cool. Another cool thing we've had going on this whole video is we've been getting a ton of comments from you guys. We really appreciate it. You guys all tuning in, and we even just got one from Jeff, which I really appreciate.
Oh boy,
here.
He's supposed to be working.
Yeah, he's at work right now.
Thank
He's
you
at his
for
own
joining us,
cheese
Jeff.
factory.
We're a big fan of you over here, and you've done a great job with these here young folks.
Yeah, Jeff's all right.
We don't want to hype him up too much. We don't want to make his head too big. That's something I got to do all the time. Is I let the air pressure out.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny. Like, everyone always wants to know. Like, people watch the videos and they can see that Jeff's like really smart. He's very clean. Everything's organized, and it's like, who is this guy? Like, what does he do? And so Monday through Wednesday, he works at the Amish cheese factory. Thursday through Friday, he actually works in the cafeteria. He's a lunch lady. And then on the weekends, he actually works at NASA on rockets. So
yeah, does a little bit of everything.
He's just a little bit of everything. He's a guru. He's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that is, you got to be diversified.
Yeah.
Everybody loves rocket ships and cheese. That's like two of my favorite things.
They go in hand in hand. It's like DeWalt and Mopars.
Yep.
Yeah. And to speak on your thing earlier about Mopars, it's A bodies, B bodies, and then the rest of them. That's as far as I get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
there's so many letters and bodies, I can't even keep track anymore.
I can't.
Well,
either.
and that's always confusing. Is GM? That's the deal. Is it's A bodies, B bodies, and my one buddy's building a Mopar, I'm building a B body, and that's like the thing is like, okay, wait, are we talking GM or are we talking Mopar here?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was talking about in the beginning, we kind of skimmed over it. It's like we wanted to finally, we weren't appealing to the Mopar crowd, and so we kind of took advantage of that, and it worked out well. Mopar fans are very diehard. They're very loyal. We have a great fan base, subscriber base. We appreciate everybody that watches our channel. But the Mopar people, like, we had joked at one time about putting an LS in the dart. Like, I don't think we were actually going to do that by any stretch of the imagination. But like, we were getting death threats, I think, in the comments. It was so bad. Like, we learned quickly. It was like, okay, the Mopar people are a little different. They're very, very loyal, but we gotta be careful what we say. No LS swapping Mopars anymore. So
I'm so excited just to look back at the comments. I learned something from Jeff today that Kudas and Challengers are e-bodies.
Yes.
So, dude, I totally agree. And the Mopar community has a diehard following. It's either building a race car or building a like a factory restoration. And Mopar stays Mopar. So that's kind of something crazy just to kind of highlight in that same aspect that I'm helping a buddy right now. We're putting a big block Chevy in a 67 Valiant. And you want to talk about making something fit?
You're gonna get assassinated, dude. You can't be talking about that. We're looking like imposters.
It gets better. It has an 8.8 in it and a 4-speed.
Oh. Yeah, Jeff cringed so hard about putting like, oh no, we should. Okay, I'm sorry. We keep interrupting. So when we bought the Dart, it had a 340, obviously small block Chrysler. It had a turbo 350, which they would not let me live down because it would shift. It was like, okay, bracket car, right? It needs to be consistent. You leave, everything's great. Shift it. It was like,
it was awful.
Sometimes it would shift in like 2 business days, other times 5 business days. But it's kind of like it was bad. It was bad. They were bullying me so hard about the Turbo 350, but so at one point it had the 340, Turbo 350, and then a Ford 9-inch, and it was like yeah. So that was fun. But anyways, continue on.
Yeah, it's that's the cool part about this whole deal. It's all about mixing parts and seeing what fits together and that kind of deal. So what are your guys' plans? We're rolling on about an hour, so we're gonna finish this up here shortly. What are your guys' plans here for 25?
Oh my gosh, we have a lot.
Well, I got this truck now, so I'm gonna keep building that thing and racing it. I finally have my own street car. I'm happy about that. We're gonna get the Dakota into deep 9s, maybe the 8s.
We're gonna get it into the 8s.
If they give us a little bit of room to work with as far as tuning the ECU, that would be amazing. But we're about to get this converter back from Circle D, and I think that is going to be an absolute game changer if that thing's loosened up.
We still haven't left on any boost yet. Maybe 1 pound.
We've got 3/10 to gain on the 60 foot. We know for a fact.
We were going like 160 foots all week.
Yeah.
So I think my 9-second one was a 160 foot. So that's terrible.
Other things on the list is we have way too many projects and we need to get some of them finished. The Dart is going to be getting a Gen 3 Hemi this year. It's actually happening. It's in the works. So when we head down to Yellow Belly in April, that's in Texas, and that's where Texas Speed is, which we haven't really announced on our channel. So this is
brand new
information for the Summit podcast. But Texas Speed is on board to. We actually already have a Gen 3 Hemi 6.4 BGE block, the good one, and we're going to be taking that down to Texas Speed, and they're going to work their magic on it. They're going to put us a nice little short block together. We already have a nice little Holly intake for it. We're going to be running the stock Eagle head. Well, I don't know what we'll do to the heads. Again, we're kind of learning the Hemi stuff, but it's got the good heads. It's like an LS where you got like the 799 heads or whatever the good ones are. The Eagle heads for the Hemi apparently are the good ones, right? But so yeah, we'll be throwing together. Probably put a turbo on that sucker.
Yeah.
And
we're basically gonna start. We're gonna tear apart the car. Hopefully this weekend.
Possibly this weekend. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It needs to happen soon.
Make another parts list.
Yeah. So her car is gonna have to get an 850 cage at least. And that if that all goes well, that might be another car that we take to Sick Week next year, and maybe have somebody else is gonna have to drive the Dakota. I don't know. We need like to clone Allison so she can drive all of her cars that she's about to have. But
yeah,
maybe I'll drive it. I don't know.
Those numbers, Tommy. She's past you at this point.
I know. Yeah, she's a driving fool.
A long way to go.
And here's the other problem is we're gonna have to get a camera person because we're both driving and racing and having a good time now. So
yeah, Billy keeps buying all of his camera people cars.
Yeah, that's what he does. He hires a camera person, buys him a race car, and then we have nobody to film. Everybody's just race car.
He loves racing so much he wants everybody to do it.
Yeah.
We can just put a GoPro on Wyatt and then it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Wyatt cam. Yeah.
Until Wyatt gets a car.
Yeah, then Wyatt's gonna get a car, and that's here we go. But yeah, so we gotta get a cage in the Dart. We're gonna have my buddy Mike Lane at Lane Motorsports Fabrication. He's gonna get that tuned up, I think, for us. And because obviously the main thing is for all these drag and drive events, they do have a pretty strict tech. You can't just roll in there like it is at a no prep race. You got to have a cage. You got to be teched in, right? So we have to get a 850 cert in that, Johnny, and again, we'll get the Gen 3 Hemi in there. We got to figure out what we're gonna do about a transmission. Probably gonna do a turbo 400, but you know.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
So
I've accepted.
Overdrive is a creature comfort.
right. Well, the only thing is it's gonna be a street car, right? We want to aim it for true street classes, drag and drive mainly. So it's gonna stay leaf spring and radial. That'll be great. We need to get a QA1K member to switch it to the rack and pinion to be able to fit the Gen 3 Hemi. There's a lot of parts. We gotta start a parts list. Luckily, Holly hopped on board, and we're gonna be running the Dominator and all that good stuff. And we'll have to see if they can get. They have a lot of parts over there at Holly, so we might have to see if they'll get us tuned up. But and we'll see if you guys are on board. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that we have so many projects, but the Dart, that's a whole debacle, and then we got this my truck, that's whatever.
No.
But
to the front.
we also have that Duster we were talking about earlier. That's just sitting in shambles in the garage, and so we don't know what that was going to be Tiffany's race car. So her mom, Tiffany, we were actually going to put that together for sick week instead of the Dart, but just ran out of time. Again, Jeff works.
It's the theme of our life was we just run out of time.
Deadlines, man. It's the worst thing. But so yeah, we got that, and then poor Shelby Dakota. Like,
yeah, I have a first gen Dakota sitting in pieces in my dad's garage.
Yeah.
We bought that right before Billy bought me the Dart, and that just kind of got shoved to the side.
Yeah, a lot of
someday I'll finish that truck. I think everybody says that about everybody has that one project car.
Yeah, a lot of the OG.
I'll get to it someday.
A lot of our OG fans might remember that was our first project, or what it was going to be before the Dart even was a thing. Was we got a Shelby Dakota, and we took it apart and never put it back together. So.
I'm the world's best person at that. I can take a perfectly good running vehicle and make it yard art in 3 to 6 hours.
Yeah, the fastest thing on jack stands you ever seen.
Exactly. Actually, that's funny. The day that TikTok shut down, that was the running joke. We rolled a running driving car into the garage, and by the end of the band, it was a shell.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
take
great.
away my cat and otter videos, and this is what you get.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got a lot of projects coming up, man. It's going to be a great year. But
I can't wait to see what you guys roll out. So tell the folks where they can find your content.
Oh, well, we're on YouTube, Gen2 Garage, Facebook, also Gen2 Garage. We don't really post on Instagram much, but we're also on there too.
Yeah.
Is that it? Am I missing anything?
Yeah. Gen2 Garage, and then also, obviously, a lot of people probably know Street Racing Channel. It's my brother. We help on that channel a lot. You'll see us over there. And then my dad's channel, Old Man's Garage.
He also has a podcast channel,
Word Up the Streets, we need to get back on that.
Yeah, we may revive that soon.
Yeah. So we got a lot going on, We're trying to narrow it down to what's important probably for this year, which is our channel. We really need to take advantage of the opportunities we've been given, especially recently with a lot of companies hopping on board. We're finally getting some traction to achieve some of these goals we have, especially with her Dart. So that's going to be the main thing this year, is getting that thing, a Turbo Gen 3 Hemi. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been so much fun. I can't wait to see what you guys cook up in the future. And make sure to follow their channel. And until next time, guys, I'm Justin with Summit Racing. We have Tommy and Allison here, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.